So this will be the first time, disclaimer, that I participate in Nanowrimo. The reason is because usually when I get to November, I'm already kind of stuck in a project. Either I'm editing a big project or I'm just caught between a manuscript and I'm just not gonna start on something else. And I know that NaNoWriMo also, like, you don't have to have that 50,000 word goal, but I like to kind of start off with a clean slate, so I always decide to just not do it and I skip it. But this year, I am going to participate. Yay! So I thought it'd be a good idea for me to make this video on PREPTOBER in case you've also never participated in NaNoWriMo, or maybe you have and you're just looking for ideas on how to utilize October the best way possible so that you go into November ready to write. By the way, I'm sorry about the strange lighting. It has been dark and dreary and raining this past week, so the lighting is kind of strange right now, even with the ring light on. So if you're wondering, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it is a yearly competition to get your words down on paper, and typically the writing goal is 50,000 words, which is more or less the size of a novel, depending of genre, of course, but it's basically your first draft. So if you are writing an epic fantasy, normally your word count's going to be a lot more than that, but if you can just get down 50,000 words, you may have finished your novel as a first draft, and then when you're writing your second draft, you'll beef it up. So this is just a first draft. Do not sweat it, and don't worry about if it doesn't make any sense. The purpose is to get something down on paper so that then you can shape it into what you want later on. What you would do is you would sign on to nanowrimo.org and just sign up. It's going to ask you a few questions. It's going to ask you your name or your pen name, what you're writing, what your genre is, and what your goal is. Some, I've heard, don't use the 50,000 word goal, and that is fine. So you can just put in whatever number you want. For me, it is going to be 50,000 words because this year, during the month of November, I plan on writing book 4 of my series. I had actually started book 4, and because I made so many changes, I had sort of like a Frankenstein type surgery between book 2 and 3. So some things have changed, and I basically can't use what I had written at the start of book 4 anymore. I didn't write too much. I only had like a chapter or two that I wrote, so that's okay. I'm gonna rewrite it, and I will do it this coming November. Also, something really awesome about Nano is they have a feature where you can jumble your words. So if you're worried about plagiarizing, because you do actually have to hit submit on the last day for it to get your word count and see if you won or not, you can jumble up your words and nobody will be able to read it. It still counts your word count. So I think that's a really cool feature, and I do plan on using it. So anyone who wants to check out my profile on Nano, you're not gonna get to read book 4. Not before it's published. Sorry, but I think it's a great feature. All right, so now I'm going to talk about preparing. Sorry, it took me so long to get here. Okay, I kid you not. The first thing on the top of my list is to let my husband know that what I am doing, that I am participating in a competition in NaNoWriMo, so that he knows what times he can come and talk to me. I don't know if you have that same issue, if you live with other people, but just a little bit of communication in the beginning will probably save friendships and relationships. Because getting interrupted when I'm writing, it really messes me up. So I don't know if it messes you up, but it really messes me up. I'm pretty sure it messes you up, because what writer likes to be interrupted? So anyway, enough of that. I've heard of authors who have printed out little "I am writing now" or "please do not disturb" and slap it in the front of the door. I'm thinking about doing that just so that people know when I'm writing, and this may or may not be a good time to walk in through the door. So I'm keeping that in the first thing. That is what I'm going to do. My husband now knows what I'm doing, but I'm gonna just have times and that's the next thing I'm gonna talk about. I love calendar blocking. That is how I get work done, along with writing sprints. And I wanna make sure that he knows my schedule, and as well with social media and phone, I'm just gonna like put it on airplane mode, and those are my times to work. I wanna make sure that everybody else knows. So I recommend you do that too. Which leads me to the second thing, which is scheduling. I love to write the first thing in the morning when I first wake up. I grab a glass of water and I sit down and I write, because they say that in the mornings is when you are most creative. Some people are more creative at night. I usually am too. I'm a night owl. If I can't sleep, my brain is just going. But I have experimented with this. And even so, after I do fall asleep, if I wake up and that is the first thing I do, I am the most creative, I am the most productive. And then I go away feeling good, feeling well, because I wrote so many words. Even if it's only 100 words or 200 words or 500 words, sometimes it becomes I've started off my day in the morning with 1,000 words or more, and that really kicks off my day into a positive feeling. So I'm gonna keep my calendar for writing first thing in the morning, and I'm going to make an effort to get up early in the months of November, because since I am an insomniac, I do have a really tough time sleeping at night. It's a challenge for me sometimes to get up early, but I really want to work on my schedule, want to work on my sleeping habits, so that in November I do set off the day positive and with a good healthy word count. And that means that I will literally write it down in my schedule in November. Let's say I plan on writing at 7 in the morning. Not saying that that's when I will actually sit down to write, but just as an example, 7 a.m. writing sprint for 30 minutes. And I usually do 30 minutes. Some people do 15 minutes or whatever, but I like to sit down with a glass of water, not coffee, because again, that takes a long time to make, and it's not really good for you either. I feel better when I drink water first. So very easy. Glass of water, sit, type. Okay. And I like to break down how many words I need to get done in the month of November, which will be the next thing to talk about, and then schedule in those times. So in the morning, in the afternoon, probably after lunch, so that I am actually doing things between breakfast and lunch, other things for my business, and then again before dinner. And then if I need to, after dinner, I will continue for a few hours maybe, if I need to. So yeah, calendar blocking. The third thing would be to schedule in breaks. This is also important because it gives you peace of mind, and at least for me, I don't sit down feeling like I have so many words to get down on paper, plus emails to answer and emails to write and other things for my business and content that I have to create and blah, 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 where you can just work for hours, and then that will eventually lead to overwhelm. So I do schedule in breaks, and I schedule in breaks right after writing and a little bit before lunch, just to get my mind out of work, and then I can actually enjoy my lunch and not think too much about what I'm doing, to actually give your brain a break, and also to schedule exercise. Otherwise, I will sit on my ass throughout the month of November, which is after Halloween candy and before Thanksgiving, leading into Christmas, and that is not good for my waistline. So when I like to exercise is right after my first writing sprint. After I drink my water, I get on the elliptical machine, I move my body, I do some exercise, and then shower, coffee, breakfast, and I move on to the rest of my day. That's what works for me. You have to find what works for you. And also notice that I'm not just talking about nano and writing, I'm also talking about taking care of yourself and making sure that you drink water in the morning, and throughout the day, of course. And actually, this is a good time to also bring up that I have a water monitoring app. So it keeps track how many times I drink water in a day to make sure that I'm sufficiently keeping myself hydrated. So I recommend, if you have issues with that, be hydrated, because you will feel better. If you don't feel good, if your body doesn't feel good, then you're gonna have a tough time getting words down on paper. You're gonna have a tough time being creative because you won't feel well. So that's why I'm also incorporating this in the schedules and making sure that you exercise, making sure you're drinking water, making sure you're getting a good night's sleep, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fourth thing, which is word count. So this is going to be different for you if you're not wanting to do the 50,000 word goal for Nano. But if you are, however you're doing it, you want to break the word count down to see how many words you want to do a day that actually makes sense for you. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. If you're not used to writing a lot during the day, like I am, I know that I can do it because my word count is usually 3,000 words a day. But if you're used to writing anything between 100 words to 500 words a day, then if you set an unreasonable goal for yourself, you're going to be overwhelmed. And if you get to that point, then you might just feel not creative and you're going to have a tough time getting the words down. You're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to have a tough time being inspired, and you're going to look at the word count that you wished you had completed, and you're not going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just not going to go well. So don't take it too seriously. Remember that this is fun. This is a competition. And if you don't win, and this is the first time you try, or even the second or third time you try, there's always next year. And also you can do these goals for yourself throughout the year whenever you want. It's all about practice. So if you're not used to writing that much and that fast, this is practice. You get better at how fast you write, and your word count will grow with practice. Having said that, I do recommend you take some days off. You have to look at your schedule. If you normally work during the week and you still want to do Rimo, then I suggest you swap a weekend for 2 days out of the week. If you're going to write Saturday and Sunday, then maybe take Monday and Tuesday off. So your word count might be a little bit different, and maybe your word count for the end of the month might be lower than 50,000 words. For me, my goal, I still want 3,000 words. I'm going to carry it on because that is my normal goal. So there's no reason to lower it. But I do want weekends off, and I do want to make sure that I have Thanksgiving off because I want to cook and spend time with my family. So I usually like to stick to those SMART goals and make them achievable and measurable. And I have a video on that. If you've never heard of SMART goals before, you can go check that out. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but basically keep it in mind to make sure that you're setting a measurable and achievable goal for yourself. So weekends, you need time off. You need to spend time with your loved ones. or it's just not going to end well for you at the end of the month. So speaking of schedules, you might also want to consider meal prepping and see who's going to do the cooking. And if you're going to do the cooking, it might help to check out Pinterest and check out some meal prepping options so that you're not stressing over it and thinking in the back of your mind, I need 500 words to go, but I still need to make dinner. That's just not going to be helpful, and it's going to intrude on your creative process, right? So that's an option to take as well. Okay, the next thing, I already forgot what number I'm on. The next thing is to define exactly what you are going to write. You have the entire month of October, that's why it's called PREPTOBER, to think about the book that you want to write. For me, I am working on the 4th book in my series, so I have some prepping in regards to the changes I made in books 2 and 3 and how that is going to affect book 4. So I know exactly what I need to work on in this month of October so that I can write a very good outline, and in November, I can nail it. If you are a plotter, you will have no problem with this next step, but if you are a pantser, you may. You might. If you're a pantser, I still recommend some sort of outline because I'm in between as a plotter and a pantser. I'm kind of in the middle. I really do like to plot. I really love to outline. Just sometimes my imagination runs wild while I'm on the page and things change. That is okay. I have no problems with going back to the outline and making those changes so that I can find the plot holes before they happen. And before I get too far into the manuscript, because maybe what I did there isn't going to work and I have to go back and rewrite. So I do recommend some form of plotting, writing down an outline. I am in the unique position because I'm writing the last in my series and I have spent a lot of time with my characters. I've spent 2 novelettes, books 1, 2, and 3, with each and every one of my characters. I have a new character that I need to get to know, so I'm going to be fleshing out that character in October. For the rest of you who you're not writing a series, and this might be even your first book that you write, or you're writing a brand new series and you're starting with the first book, I would take this time to write out all of your characters, flesh out your villain, your villain's motive and characteristics and personality, and then go into your main characters, love interests, and do the same for them. And then write an outline and be very clear on what the conflict is for your overarching plots and the overarching plots for each character. This will help you when you start November 1st. You know exactly what needs to happen. You know how the book needs to end. Maybe you don't know how the book needs to end. It depends on your process. But if you do, that will really help you unravel the knots in your manuscript to smoothly help you get to the end of your book. My next advice to you is to set up checkpoints in your calendar. So let's say you want to put a checkpoint after the 5th chapter that you've written, and you can write a little reward to yourself. Maybe you're doing it by word count, so the first 10,000 words, that's a lot. Maybe the first 5,000 words or the first 2,000 words, you get the point. Maybe the first scene, you give yourself a little reward. Whatever motivates you. If it's to reward yourself by eating a chocolate cake, you can go ahead and do that. Or maybe it's a bubble bath, or maybe it's just some time to yourself to read a book that has nothing to do with what you're writing. That's good too. Go for a walk. However you want to reward yourself. I do advise to do it like in checkpoints, because then it's kind of like, you see like the next bright light and the next bright light at the end of the tunnel, and it carries you along the way. And then so for Nano, there is actually no real prize besides like self-accomplishment and achievement that you've written a book in 1 month, and that is enough. That's amazing. You can really celebrate. But if you decide on somehow that you want to reward yourself, that could also feel really good at the end, because then it's like you get to eat that chocolate cake, or you get to go wherever or do whatever that you don't normally get to do for yourself. And that's it. The last thing you need to do is to just go to nanowrimo.org and sign up and join. And I hear from a lot of people who have been doing this throughout the years that this is a great way to meet other writers in the author community. So I will be there, and people have made a lot of friends that have lasted, because of Nano. So I'm really excited and eager to meet some of you and meet some writers who are on the same journey as I am. So this sounds really fun, and I'm really excited, and I'm so ready to finish this series. So this is definitely a huge motivator for me. So I hope it is for you too. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. And if you haven't figured it out already, my name is Killian Wolf. Please like and subscribe, or hit the dislike if you don't like it, I guess, or just keep it to yourself. I don't know. And I will see you in the next video.
ocean.